Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Arthur Maguliniti. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm good, Doug. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, man. I'm fired up. I got you to stick around for another podcast. You guys listening to this, you owe me one here. So super happy to spend some time with you.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'd love to be, one of the things that I'd love for us to touch on today is we've been beginning of the year, we still in January, and typically beginning of January, everyone sets some new goals. They set off with, there's something about the beginning of the year. Of course, like a clean slate, it's a blank canvas, and we hit the year with a new energy, and people roll into what we know is like a bunch of resolutions. This year I'm going to be different. This year I'm going to do that. This year I'm going to do this. And what happens by the end of February? All that goes down the tubes usually. And that's what the science tells us. That's what the statistics tell us. So what's your experience of that?
Man. I mean, I think it's always funny having been coaching in one way or another for, over 20 years. It seems to me that most people want to say they don't set New Year's resolutions or goals. Mm-hmm. And I've got to tell you, Arthur, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, they're lying. Not purposefully, but somewhere in their head, they set a goal of losing weight. It's a typical one, right? Or getting more muscle, or learning that foreign language they've been wanting. And like you said, all the statistics tell us and experience tells us that once that what I call the new car smell, when you get a new car, it starts to wear off, that this is the time when those things start to wear off, and your day-to-day life gets back into its mix. You start missing your morning routines, your alpha rise and shine, or missing your alpha decompression. And you kind of fall back into old patterns of familiarity.
Yeah. And it's no surprise really, because unless you change something, dreaming about it, thinking about it, even like just saying, I'm going to do this without taking any different action, you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to repeat it because, you're fighting against the inertia, against the resistance. If you've been doing it for X amount of time, it just becomes so more difficult. And so there's a real science around how to shift, and resolutions for me is more like a hope. I hope I can do this. I want to do this, but there's no real commitment or energy around it. It's not the same as saying like, right, I'm going to do this no matter what. It's a whole different energy when we go down that avenue.
I completely agree. And one thing we do with the guys is we break down, basically we take the vision, so to speak, is what we call it. So this is, where do you want to actually be? And then we actually put a plan to actually commit it. And what's amazing to me, this is what we do in business, right? We want to hit a specific objective in our business, whether it be cash flow, whether it be net gross, whatever it may be. And then we put a plan, hopefully, and together on how we're going to do it, whether it's marketing, sales, ops, whatever it would be. We do the same thing with the guys in their personal lives, because everything that you want in your life, you can have. And, Arthur and I are proof of that, just with some of the things that we've been able to, I don't want to call it manifest because there's work involved and that has so much heaviness to it. But you can take that vision or that goal at the new year and really achieve it. But to Arthur's point, you got to put the work in to get it done.
Yeah. And I think the biggest part of that is actually getting clarity on what it is that you want. We say clarity is power. And without actually tapping into what you really desire, and that, comes from your heart, not from your head. We all, if we don't do that, we come up with what we think we should have. We come up with what society thinks we should have. And that's not necessarily what we really, really want. And when we start doing goals around the fact of like, this is what I think I should have, there's no momentum behind that because that's not something you really want. And so really getting clear on what it is that I want, that I deeply desire, is half the battle, because then you're going to have the motivation, then you're going to have the drive, because that's a deep, deep desire. And then off you go. What I tend to find though is most guys get stuck in the how. Right? Yeah. And it's just like, man, I got this great idea, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I'm not going to choose it. And they don't. And that's how, they stumbled into something that they didn't really want, but they knew they could do, and shortchange themselves.
Yep. It's so true. And a lot of times guys just don't know what they want, right? They're like, I've been so focused on business and now I'm focused on the fact that my marriage isn't working, or I don't have a relationship with my kids, or I have no friends around me besides the friends I call the remember when friends that you just talk about the past with. And one thing you guys can do and consider, or I would suggest, is try new things, right? It's just like, how do you find your passion? You do new stuff until it actually lands and it feels good. So maybe you go try scuba diving and you realize this sucks. I don't like being underwater. Or you go, wow, I'm in a whole new world down here. This is amazing. But you don't know till you try. And part of that can come from surrounding yourself by amazing men and seeing what they're doing, right? It doesn't have to be like, the movie, The Italian Job, where they all go around, they say, well, what are you going to do when you get the money from the robbery? And everybody's got this vision, except for one guy who doesn't know what he wants. And so he ends up just doing what everybody else wanted to do. It's not that. It's more, surround yourself by amazing men who are on this journey of growth and expansion. And if you don't know, try new things and try it with them. We're taking the guys, as you know, Arthur, from the Brotherhood and the Inner Circle down to Costa Rica in a couple months. So about a month and a half after this episode comes out and airs. And we're going to do some fun stuff down there. And guys are going to discover new passions along this journey. And that's what we need as men.
Yeah. And we see this all the time where someone comes along and says, I'm doing this weekend, post pictures. The next minute you have 5 guys trying it.
Yeah.
I know I did that. One of our brothers was doing stand-up paddling. I thought, I want to try something new. We got to see you 10 minutes from here. And off I went to do stand-up paddling, did 3 sessions, decided, it's not for me. But I did it, and then I moved on to the next thing. So I think, trial and error is a great way, because that's one of the things that guys come to us, as you said, Doug. It's just like, I don't know what I like anymore because they haven't focused on it. And so one of the things that you can do is make a list of maybe 20 things that you're curious about. You've got to have some sort of interest about trying and work your way through this list. Another key idea is to look back over your life. What did you do in the past that you really enjoyed that maybe you could start doing again? Add that to your list. And then methodically just check off, go through your list and try one thing after the next. I think that's a good plan, just to go through and just drop whatever it is you don't want. And maybe it's something you try for 1 year. I came to Cyprus. I thought I want to get active in some sport. I learned squash for the first year. Then my squash partner went away and I thought I don't want to make friends with another squash partner, And so then I started running, and that led into a whole lot of other things. So you never know by trying one thing where you can land up into something else. So try new things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to kind of revert it back to the main topic here is, if you find yourself that you set these goals, intentions, desires, whatever it be, in January, and they faded away, Arthur said something very poignant, is it's always, everybody gets stuck in the how. I would say that your why you want to do it, or your clarity of why you want to do it, you've lost that along the way. Otherwise you'd still be doing it, right? You're old. It's more difficult to start something new and break an old habit, right? So therefore you need to have power and leverage on yourself and that new habit or goal that you want, and clarity around it in order to keep it moving along. Because look, it's not always going to be exciting, right? There's nothing that's always exciting. The first time you watch a movie, it's amazing. Second time, still be okay. Third, fourth time, it's boring, right? So you have to be in a position where you can push yourself along when you hit those little valleys.
Yeah. That motivation coming from a deep desire and having the reason why is really going to drive you through those valleys, because they will come, as you said, Doug. And yet, if we expect them to come, they will come. And we know that we just have to push through, because a lot of times, the best thing to do is create a big, scary and exciting goal. That's the other thing we tell guys, scary, because it's got to push you. Otherwise, you're not going to grow. And that's the point of goals, really, not what you're going to achieve at the end, but who you become in the process. And so we want a scary goals that pushes us out of our comfort zone. And it's got to be an exciting goal, we tell the guys, because it's got to be worth your effort. All right. So, if you, once you achieve it, you're thinking, and then it wasn't the right goal for you. It's got to be something that on the other side of it, you think, wow, I did that. That's cool. Well done me. So scary and exciting is one measurement. And back on the how, there's always a way. There's always a way, and you don't need to know it. You probably don't know it, and so don't try to figure it out, right? Rather surround yourself with people that might have done it before, and they'll give you all the shortcuts. So your job really isn't to figure out the how. Your job is to figure out the what and the why. And then from then on, keep focused on your goal and just connect with people who can help you get there.
Yeah, and then connecting with the people that can help you get there, I think, is really a key for me anyway, because people that can help you get there can shortcut time. They can be people that will help motivate you. Really, if you look at somebody who has already been there, done that, right? That's very helpful, as well as getting insights so you don't make the mistakes along the way that you might have. And it's so interesting on how safe we as men can play it, right? At this stage of our life, this stage of the game. We're very risky in our early 20s, taking these risks. But now most of our listeners in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, we start to play it more safe. We do it in our marriage, right, guys? We play it safe there, and we take a back seat because we don't want to ruffle feathers, or we might play it safe in business or something else along these lines. And I'm going to say this is not the time to play it safe. This is the opposite time. I always like talking about the one life ticket that I have sitting behind me right now, if you're watching the video, and it just helps remind me, right? This is my one shot. I don't have tomorrow guaranteed. And I know it's cliche, but 20 years from now, right? That's not guaranteed. So now I get to do those things that I've talked about, that bucket list. And if there's things that you're consistently putting on your list, guys, that are goals or things you want to achieve, and you consistently don't hit them, take them off. There's nothing wrong with it. Clearly, it's not that important to you. Or if it is, make this the time that you get that massive help. You get somebody, a mentor, a leader, whatever it is, to help you finally achieve that goal and get over the hump.
Yeah, I think, things are moving so fast nowadays, that you cannot really do it on your own. That's the long way around. And you shouldn't want to do it on your own either, because pulling in the right people make the journey so much easier and more fun. And that's the other thing, just bringing more fun into your life. That should be one of your goals, I think. Definitely one of my goals for this year, because, all work and no play is not a good recipe, So definitely one of your goals should be to have more fun, more adventure. As Doug was talking about, we develop a lot of certainty, most of us, in our life. That's what I do here, and that's what I do here, and everything's sorted. And not only do we get comfortable, but we also get too certain. And too much certainty brings boredom. And when we get bored, that brings up a whole raft of potential issues, because now we want to do something to get not bored, and that's not always healthy. So we want to introduce our own adventure, our own uncertainty into our lives, because we need that. It is one of our needs to have adventure as men, to have adventure, to have variety, to travel and see things around the world, to try different things, as we said earlier on. It's key. It's key to our needs.
It really is. And it's funny as you say that, getting into your comfort zone. I live, as you know, Arthur, and a lot of the guys here do, at a base of a mountain. There's 2 ski resorts very close to me. And so the last few winters I've been snowboarding, right? And so I told a lot of the guys that I know that I'm going to take up skiing. My wife's taking it up. My son's learning skiing. And everybody was like, oh, don't do that. You already know, snowboarding. Why are you going to start over? And to me, that was such a funny mentality, that I wouldn't try something new because I already know something else. Because to me, that's the sense of adventure. I may hate skiing, which I actually don't, because I've been doing it a couple times, but you don't know until you actually give it a shot. Now, if you give it a shot and you don't like it, you just stop. Arthur, to your point about stand-up paddleboarding, if it's not your bag, then go on to something else. But that's how you're going to find out what it is you do enjoy. And those things you enjoy can, and most likely will, change over time.
For sure. And, I used to love running. And we get older, and that's not the healthiest way. Long distance running is not the healthiest for my age, right? And so things change, your interests change, and don't smile so much, Doug. You'll get there as well. But yeah, try new things. It's key. And the other part of that is to get not too used to comfort, right? We want to get used to challenge. Masculine grows through challenge. We want to be challenging ourselves in all areas of our life. We want to get used to being uncomfortable, right? I'm not saying we want to be, not enjoy our comfort in what we've created, but in small measures, because if we get used to that, then we're definitely not going to want to try anything. We won't want to get off the sofa. And that is the beginning of another slippery slope. We just get used to just parking off and doing nothing. And that's no good for anyone.
I agree. And guys, if you're on the Powerful Man's email list, I send out a weekly summary. It's one email every Friday. Arthur wrote an amazing article and piece on this subject. If you're not getting it for some reason, I talked about this. We had some email deliverability issues, which we weren't aware about, which are getting corrected. But search your inbox from Doug@thepowerfulman.com, and you can get these insights. If you're not on that list, get on that list, because Arthur and the other coaches are putting out just pure gold. And it's one email. You can choose and pick the things that you want to digest, but you can get insights like this and continuously be in the conversation of growth and continuously be in the conversation of getting insights of improving your relationships, but your business, yourself, or as we say at the Powerful Man, the 5 territories: self, health, wealth, relationships, and business. So Arthur, let's leave these guys with, I don't know, I'm going to pick 3 because it's my favorite number. I'm going to let you do it. Leave these guys with 3 things they could do today in the moment of insight if they're finding themselves not hitting or achieving the things that they hope to in the beginning of January.
All right. Well, the one thing I would say is, instead of trying to choose too many goals, choose a couple, right? Making this scary and exciting. And one way to validate, and actually you want one big goal for the year, I would say, and a couple of smaller ones. But then one big goal, ask yourself the question when you come to choosing it is, what would be my biggest regret if I didn't do something this year, right? And because looking at it in the negative sometimes is much easier than looking at the positive. Like, what could I do? Or what would you regret not doing this year? All right, your biggest regret. And you may probably come up with one clear goal and then make it that. Focus on that one instead of, and I think that's it. Fewer goals, pick the right one, and get cracking.
I love it. What else? That's one. I would challenge you for 3. The other way to look at it is, what's the one goal that would make the most difference to you this year? Yeah, it's the other side of the coin on the negative question. So that's another way to look at it. I think one of the other things is I hate when people talk about choosing realistic goals, right? We have the SMART model, which is like specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time orientated. I think that's what it stands for. Yep. I hate the realistic part of it, because no one created anything amazing because they were being realistic. And so one of the things is throw that away. Throw away where you are right now. Don't think about where you are. If you had a blank canvas, end of the year, and you could create anything, what would you love to create? And I use the word love specifically because that's going to get you out of your head. It should get you out of your head into your heart. From there, you might discover your deepest desire and your deepest why. And so go to your heart instead of your head would be another one. Think of a blank canvas. Don't get caught up in the how. Just decide what it is you want to put on that canvas, what would be amazing. That's 6, I think. You got quite a few in there, man. Guys, I'm going to give you a bonus one here, and that is take small action now. As soon as we're done with this podcast, I want you to do one thing that's going to create momentum to move you in the direction that you want to go. If your vision is to have, a marriage where it's passionate, where your wife looks at you with that love, respect that she once had, take action on something you can do right now. Maybe it's getting on a call with one of our advisors. Maybe it's your fitness, right? Maybe it's your health. Make that phone call to the gym, sign up to that trainer. Or maybe it's just, I'm going to tie my running shoes on. I'm going to go for a walk or a jog. Maybe it's not pretty, but I'm going to start today. Whatever it is, guys, in the moment of insight, we always say take massive action. Arthur, thanks so much, man, for making the time to be here. Guys, as always, in the moment of insight, take massive action, and we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.